don't need that account no more, man. I got my own nice deal, man.
I like it. That's how it's supposed to be.
Hey, you know how it was back then whenever Dad said, here, you only got 2,000.
Yeah.
Nah, that's how I be doing people now.
Shedeur, congratulations on the amazing season. Heisman Trophy winning season vibe you on. And most definitely, you know, I can't wait to rock these. Bam!
They said it would be big. Nobody warned the system was about to crack. When Shedeur Sanders' first official Nike merchandise finally went live, analysts braced for a strong rookie rollout, something comparable to other hyped NFL debuts. What happened next caught everyone off guard. Within minutes, servers collapsed, warehouses emptied, and Nike's entire distribution pipeline started shaking. West Coast stores hadn't even unlocked their doors yet, and sellouts were already flooding internal reports. By the 72-hour mark, Shedeur Sanders had smashed rookie sales records that took other stars entire seasons to reach. This wasn't a normal merch release. This was a disruption. Even Nike's top executives weren't ready for the chaos. Multiple insiders say an emergency executive call ended with one shared reaction: disbelief. One internal reaction summed it up perfectly. This demand is off the charts in ways we've never seen before. Things escalated so fast that Phil Knight himself reportedly demanded immediate explanations for shortages that crippled distribution nationwide. When the founder of Nike is calling in, asking what just happened, you know the industry just felt an earthquake. But the real story goes deeper than jerseys and t-shirts. Shedeur Sanders didn't just sell product, he ignited a cultural wildfire. Generation Z fans who normally ignore NFL merchandise showed up in waves that rewrote Nike's customer data overnight. Women accounted for nearly half of early purchases, completely blowing up traditional gender splits in sports retail. International buyers from Europe to Asia stormed Nike's platforms like this was the latest high-profile sneaker collaboration with a global music icon. This wasn't traditional sports merchandising. This was transformation.
Yeah, I'm just excited for all of them. I gifted a lot of receivers the Prime DT96s. You know, a couple of them had them on. So I just gifted a couple of like the main receivers going into this game. You know, I gifted them some cleats. Some wore them, some didn't. But I was like, okay, this is just my little appreciation gift to them. Because they don't be having a lot in stock. So I couldn't do everybody. I wish I could. Yeah, I'm just excited.
Because Shedeur Sanders isn't moving by old industry rules. He's turning his name, his confidence, and his authenticity into a global brand that resonates far beyond the football field. And in the process, he's forcing every athletic company watching to rethink how business is done. So what caused this explosion? And more importantly, can anyone else recreate it? The firestorm started the second the SS Crown logo went live. Insiders say Nike's internal projections were aggressive, but still grounded in reality. The expectation was a strong first-week demand, especially with Shedeur Sanders' buzz steadily rising. What nobody predicted was that the first hour alone would shatter full-day targets. Sales surged so violently that Nike servers crashed repeatedly, forcing thousands of buyers into endless refresh loops. Distribution centers reported total sellouts before West Coast retail locations even opened. Inventory managers were scrambling, rerouting shipments between warehouses, just trying to keep up with a frenzy that felt less like a rookie merch launch and more like a once-in-a-generation sneaker drop. Inside Nike headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, emergency meetings were called. Multiple sources described CFO Matthew Friend frozen, staring at live data streams as numbers spiked in real time. Reports say Phil Knight was back on the phone, demanding answers about how the company's infrastructure could be overwhelmed this quickly. Within just 72 hours, Sanders' gear didn't simply outsell other rookies. It outpaced established stars who usually anchor Nike's quarterly revenue projections. The speed and scale forced internal priorities to shift overnight.
Yeah, we playing that Shiloh. Yeah. Which one my daddy cleat should I wear? 93s, 96s. I don't know. Decision.
Executives who originally viewed Sanders as a promising endorsement suddenly realized they were dealing with a market-moving force. One Nike insider reportedly joked, "We thought we signed a quarterback. Turns out we signed a cultural event." And as shocking as the numbers were, they only told part of the story. Because what truly made this launch historic wasn't just the revenue, it was who was buying. The customer profiles revealed something Nike and its competitors hadn't fully grasped yet. Inventory vanished, records collapsed, and suddenly the entire sports world couldn't stop talking about a jersey drop. But peel back the layers and one thing becomes crystal clear. None of this was random. This moment didn't happen overnight. It was built brick by brick, long before Shedeur Sanders ever took a snap on an NFL field. While most athletes lean on highlight reels and cookie-cutter endorsements, Sanders moved differently. He operated like a one-man marketing machine. Dating back to college, he was building a digital ecosystem around himself. Daily behind-the-scenes content, intentional storytelling, and a carefully crafted brand identity. Every move calculated, every post strategic. The payoff? He didn't just pull in football fans, he expanded the entire audience. Generation Z buyers who normally scroll right past official NFL merchandise suddenly locked in. They didn't see Shedeur Sanders as just a quarterback, they saw a lifestyle brand worth backing. International markets exploded too, with demand pouring in from Europe and Asia at levels Nike almost never sees during a rookie's first week. Even more eye-opening was the gender breakdown. Insiders reported that women made up nearly 40% of early buyers, completely shattering Nike's traditionally male-dominated apparel numbers. This was the exact cultural connection Nike had been chasing for years. Unlike older campaigns built on polished celebrity shine, Sanders' authenticity opened doors straight into demographics that brands like Adidas and Under Armour have struggled to reach. This wasn't casual fandom, this was full lifestyle adoption. Shedeur Sanders didn't stumble into this moment, he engineered it. And now that his influence has exploded into the mainstream, Nike's competitors aren't just jealous of the sales totals. They're nervous about what's coming next. Because while Nike rode the wave, everyone else was left staring at the same uncomfortable question. How did we miss this? The second Sanders sales numbers leaked beyond Nike's walls.
Do you like the DT96s or the DT93s better?
I like the 96s because it's more of the flames on the side, and I like that. It's more like chill, but still like stylish like that. So I like those the most, because I feel like they're the most, personally, I think they're the most recognizable at this day and age to youth, to everybody like that.
Panic spread fast. Adidas, already fighting to regain relevance in North America, reportedly called an emergency strategy meeting within 24 hours. According to insiders, the discussion boiled down to one blunt reality. Nike saw Sanders first and we all missed it. Executives rushed to sketch contingency plans, scrambling to identify young athletes who could be fast-tracked into endorsement pipelines. Under Armour hit the alarm as well. Known for swinging big on rookie talent, they reportedly accelerated timelines for scouting and locking up new college stars. Before Nike or Adidas fully locked things down, market insiders say the panic had already started. Brands quietly began exploring conversations with athletes still moving through the NCAA pipeline. That alone shows how desperate the race became once Shedeur Sanders reset the standard. This wasn't business as usual anymore. This was survival mode. Even companies outside the traditional top tier jumped into the scramble. New Balance executives reportedly began examining unconventional partnerships, searching for personalities with crossover appeal instead of just raw on-field production. Puma allegedly took it a step further, reevaluating its entire North American strategy after realizing how fragile its market position suddenly looked. For years, endorsement battles moved slowly. Brands fought inch by inch, chasing small gains, rolling out campaigns that were solid, but rarely seismic. Everyone waited patiently for the next wave of talent. That rhythm shattered the moment Sanders' debut hit the market. This wasn't incremental growth. It was total disruption. And the fallout forced every brand executive to admit something they hate saying out loud. They didn't just underestimate the athlete, they underestimated the audience. To Nike, the surge was a win. To competitors, it felt existential. Because if one rookie quarterback could spark a cultural and financial tidal wave like this, the question becomes unavoidable. What happens if Nike just found its next Jordan-level global icon? And that's where things get complicated. Because Sanders' original Nike deal wasn't structured for an explosion of this scale. That's why urgent renegotiations reportedly began before the first week even ended. Sanders' representatives, caught off guard but fully prepared, are already pushing for a rookie compensation package that could shatter precedent. Think megastar money without the traditional waiting period. When Shedeur Sanders signed his Nike deal, it was already viewed as aggressive. Sources say the contract included performance incentives, merchandise royalties, and even early discussions around limited equity opportunities. It signaled belief in his upside, but not even the boldest projections at headquarters came close to forecasting what followed. Within just 72 hours, Sanders' launch generated more revenue than some veteran stars produce in an entire quarter. Bonus triggers that were supposed to activate only under extreme conditions were blown past almost instantly. Stretch goals that once seemed unrealistic were crushed in real time. Suddenly, what was meant to be a forward-looking incentive-heavy agreement felt outdated within days. And here's the twist. Nike doesn't appear to be pushing back. Insiders say executives now understand Sanders' value goes far beyond footwear or jerseys. This is where the story really sharpens. For decades, rookies were expected to earn their money strictly on the field before anyone talked about massive brand deals. Shedeur Sanders flipped that entire script. His market pull is already so powerful, his influence so undeniable, that Nike isn't just paying for future touchdowns, they're paying for cultural leverage. And the timing couldn't be more dangerous. While Nike races to lock in his long-term future, Sanders is proving his brand isn't built on smoke and mirrors. It's backed by something far harder to manufacture: real on-field authenticity. Merch sales can dominate headlines, but in football, hype doesn't survive without performance. And that's exactly where Shedeur Sanders separates himself from the pack. He isn't just a marketing phenomenon. He's backing it up between the lines. That's what makes this frenzy sustainable. Coaches have described his camp performances as calm, efficient, and explosive all at once. Reports point to near-elite completion rates in practice and decision-making that looks advanced for a rookie still learning the speed of the league. The film backs it up too. Deep balls dropped with precision. Off-script throws that turn broken plays into highlight moments. The kind of poise under pressure that can't be taught or faked. And that matters because fans can sniff out empty hype fast. You can't keep selling jerseys if the name on the back isn't showing up on Sundays. Sanders' ability to validate his commercial buzz with real football credibility is why executives and analysts keep saying his rise feels different. It doesn't feel forced. It feels earned. That same authenticity is why his supporters, from teammates to young fans, buy in so hard when he speaks, when he walks into a stadium, or even when he posts online. It comes across as genuine confidence, not polished marketing fluff. And that consistency translates directly into sales. Fans aren't just buying merchandise, they're buying into an identity. One that blends performance and personality without feeling staged. For Nike, that's priceless. They aren't just slapping a swoosh on another quarterback. They're aligning themselves with authenticity, the rarest currency in modern sports marketing. And the impact doesn't stop with performance. It's also embedded in the symbol tied to his name. Every successful athlete brand needs a mark. Something instantly recognizable, timeless, and bigger than a jersey nameplate. For Shedeur Sanders, that symbol is the SS crown. And in just weeks, it's gone from a design concept on a Nike employee's screen to a cultural stamp seen on streets, in music videos, and across social feeds worldwide. The logo didn't happen by accident. Sources say Nike's design team produced more than 15 versions before Shedeur gave the final approval. The finished mark, interlocking SS elements framed with subtle crown imagery, strikes a clean balance. It nods to his father's primetime legacy without leaning on it. This identity stands on its own. But the real power isn't just in the design. It's in what people see when they wear it. Fans don't just see letters and a crown. They see ambition, confidence, generational pride. For younger consumers, wearing the logo is a statement. Some wear it for football. Others pair it with high-end streetwear. Fashion influencers are already matching Sanders' gear with luxury pieces, signaling loud and clear that this isn't just sports apparel anymore. This wasn't just athletic apparel anymore. It became a crossover brand. Cultural adoption snowballed faster than Nike's own marketing team expected. Within days, the SS crown was everywhere. TikTok-style edits, Instagram reels, celebrity selfies, even hip-hop performances. And the wild part? Much of it happened without Nike buying a single ad placement. It didn't go viral because of forced campaigns. It spread because it resonated. That organic embrace is what competitors envy the most. Adidas and Puma can roll out clean graphics all day, but logos don't live unless people actually want them on their chest. The SS crown crossed that line fast. And once a symbol becomes culture, the athlete wearing it stops being just a player. They become a movement. That's the question that made Nike executives lean in even harder. If Shedeur Sanders pulled this off largely through authenticity, what happens when the full Nike machine amplifies it worldwide? Sanders spent years cultivating a real following. He told his story directly through social media, built his image around confidence and personality, and engaged fans like a peer instead of an untouchable star. That authenticity is exactly why the Crown logo didn't feel like another corporate rollout. It felt familiar, like something fans already claimed as their own. Then Nike stepped in, and everything multiplied. Suddenly, Sanders' grassroots energy was plugged into one of the most powerful brand engines on the planet. Nike didn't just slap a logo on jerseys and call it a day. They activated their entire infrastructure. Global distribution rolled out almost instantly, placing Sanders gear in flagship stores across multiple continents. Premium presentation followed. Window displays in New York and Tokyo turned into full-blown Sanders showcases. Shopping wasn't just shopping anymore. It became an experience. Digitally, the impact was even louder. Nike's apps and e-commerce funnels pushed Sanders content aggressively, driving app downloads up by hundreds of %. This wasn't just about scale, it was about synergy. Sanders brought cultural credibility. Nike brought global reach. Together, they created momentum that even longtime industry veterans admitted felt different. One insider put it bluntly, his brand worked like an algorithm. We just gave it a megaphone. That balance matters. Athletes who hand themselves completely to corporate branding often lose what made them special. Sanders flipped that formula. Nike adapted to his vision, not the other way around. The company invested in his vibe, his storytelling, his generational connection. And by doing that, they didn't just launch merchandise. They launched a cultural force. But as powerful as the Nike-Sanders partnership looked online, the real stress test came next. Physical retail, and the ripple effects that followed across resale markets. The digital storm was only the opening act. When Nike pushed Shedeur Sanders merchandise into physical stores, veteran managers say the response was unlike anything they'd ever witnessed. Flagship locations from New York to Los Angeles transformed almost overnight into Sanders showcases. Massive SS Crown wall displays dominated storefront windows. Mannequins wore exclusive colorways. Interactive kiosks let shoppers customize Sanders gear on the spot. The energy felt closer to a sneaker launch than a rookie football drop. Employees weren't just selling t-shirts. They were retelling Shedeur Sanders' story. Every product came tied to a larger narrative of hustle, ambition, and belief. And it worked in a massive way. Reports say Nike's Manhattan flagship recorded the single highest revenue day in the store's entire history during the first week of the Sanders launch. Customers weren't leaving with just one jersey. They were buying full collections. Hoodies, shoes, accessories. Bags stacked high. One store manager summed it up perfectly, saying, "It felt like a supreme drop collided with a championship parade. The energy was unreal, and the chaos didn't stop at retail." On the secondary market, Sanders merchandise started moving like stock shares. Platforms like StockX reportedly saw resale premiums jump into triple digits, with some limited editions listed at prices usually reserved for elite sneaker collaborations. Collectors didn't treat Sanders gear like souvenirs anymore. They treated it like an investment. Social media poured gasoline on the fire. Videos of lines wrapping around city blocks. Unboxings of sold-out items. Celebrities casually rocking Sanders apparel without explanation. The hype loop fed itself. The message was loud and clear. This wasn't a short-lived moment. It was a global consumer movement that spilled from screens into real streets worldwide. But as momentum accelerated, one uncomfortable question started echoing inside boardrooms everywhere. How long can this storm last before hype collides with reality? For every executive amazed by the Shedeur Sanders launch, there's another quietly asking the same thing. History offers cautionary tales. Rookie sensations often explode early, only to cool off when performance dips, injuries happen, or cultural trends shift. What feels unstoppable in year one doesn't always survive year three. Skeptics argue the resale frenzy, viral clips, and record-breaking sales could fade. They see it as a perfect storm of timing, attention, and novelty that eventually settles down. And that creates enormous pressure. Every throw Sanders makes now carries meaning far beyond football. A few rough games, and critics won't just question his play. They'll question whether the brand was inflated. One misstep online, and headlines won't say rookie learning curve. They'll say brand under fire. That's the weight of being more than an athlete. Every move is magnified. But others believe Sanders is built differently. Unlike past athletes who relied solely on performance, Shedeur Sanders has been laying groundwork for years. His brand wasn't manufactured in one hot season. It was carefully developed through consistent storytelling, direct fan engagement, and a sharp understanding of culture. He understands something modern athletes must grasp. Fans don't demand perfection, they demand authenticity. That's why many insiders believe his staying power is stronger than critics admit. He isn't just a highlight quarterback. He's a content engine, a cultural connector, a symbol for a generation that values confidence, individuality, and realness. So the question lingers. Is Shedeur Sanders rewriting the rules for long-term athlete branding? Or is he testing just how fast hype can turn into pressure? The answer will shape more than his career. It could define the next era of sports marketing, because Sanders' Nike debut wasn't just a sales win. It was a cultural shockwave. In a matter of days, he went from promising rookie to industry disruptor. He forced some of the most powerful companies on the planet to rethink how they operate. This wasn't luck, it was a blueprint. Years of brand building, authentic connection with fans, and a willingness to blend sports with culture in ways few athletes ever master. The result? Merchandise moving faster than warehouses can restock. Resale markets treating his gear like collector art. For Nike, Sanders is proof that betting on authenticity can outperform safe traditional playbooks. For rivals, it's a wake-up call. Modern consumers don't just want athletes who perform, they want athletes they can identify with. And the real story isn't over yet. Because after all the numbers, all the hype, and all the headlines, Shedeur Sanders now faces the hardest test of all. Turning a moment into a movement. If he pulls that off, this won't be remembered as a rookie milestone. It'll mark the beginning of a sports marketing revolution.